Welcome back to Two Canadians at Kafe Lise, a Vigor podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Anton, and the other host is DJ Spencer.
Hey,
Hey, this is episode 54. It's the roadmap episode. So Vigor just did a video real recently talking about the 2023 roadmap. So we're going to go through it, give our thoughts, and see what they said. So strap in. It should be interesting. Please like, share, subscribe like usual. We do appreciate it, and leave comments. We always look forward to them whenever someone leaves a comment for us.
yep.
um, yeah, but so yeah, they released their the roadmap. They did a couple videos right after we recorded the last video where we talked about the year in review. They released their year in review, which and then
Yep.
our year in review came out afterwards because just the way we recorded it.
Mhm.
So the timing was, like
Yep.
we as we were recording, we predicted it and it happened. So
Yeah.
it's all right.
And
But
I kind of
now,
figured that
oh
a roadmap video was coming too,
yeah,
because they did it last year, and I think it was very well received. Both the blog post and the video that accompanied each other. So good on them to keep up that because I think the community really enjoyed it.
yeah. It's always great when they do that because it shows that they're still committed to community, trying to be as open as possible with the community. So that's pretty cool. Um, yeah,
And I know there's some people I saw some comments that they're like uh, about like lack of information, and they're like, "Oh, we can't divulge more information," but it's like you you can't fault them for that because if they don't implement something either the ways other people envision or whatnot,
yeah,
or something happens and it's delayed, it's like people are just going to like give them a hard time. And honestly, it's the way they put it out, the roadmap. I like it. I think it's an 8-minute long video, and we're doing a full episode on this one 8-minute video.
yeah.
So, trust me, there is lots to talk about.
Yeah,
So,
there's lots to talk about, and it's one of those situations where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. They give too much information, people are going to complain, and they give as much as they can, people are going to complain. That not everyone's going to be happy all the time. So there's not much they can do about that. Um, but considering they're a game company and they're trying to, they have to keep some things secret. They can't tell us every little thing that's going on. They do a pretty good job. Um, and then you're always gonna get the people who are like, "You gotta fix this," or "You gotta do this," and it's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." They're working on it. They still have their regular, pardon me, their regular dev streams where they do talk about a lot about that kind of stuff. And so that's where they. Well, I want to say get into specifics, but not really specifics. But they give a little more details during their dev streams, which is helpful. Depending on what they can talk about. But yeah, it's like any kind of development studio. They're more open than a lot. Like, most games you don't hear anything. And if you do hear, it's on really high level stuff, right? Like
yeah.
you think of something like Elder Scrolls, they do a lot of and then for them when they're doing like a stream like where they're talking about what's coming, it's like a huge kind of like big event kind of stream, right? It's not like you're every couple week talking with one of the devs or talking with a producer or whatever kind of thing. So, it, they do pretty good considering a little studio like
Mhm.
this. But yeah, so yeah, they got the roadmap, um, and quite a few changes. The big one is their talk about the what's coming up for seasons this time around this year. So as opposed to last year, which was the 3 seasons, which we knew about, they were extra long, they had extra levels. This time around, we're getting 4 seasons this year. So the standard 50 level, we're back to the standard 50 level battle pass from previous years. They did mention I think it was Zora they had on when she was when Forsythia was talking about this, and Zora had mentioned that not all seasons will have cassettes. I believe she said. So I
Mhm.
think she maybe I can't remember for sure if she said one or two might have them. I can't remember if she gave any kind of number. Do you remember?
Yeah, 2.
Two. So there'll be two
Yeah.
seasons that'll have cassettes, so more lore. Um, this year we had what one season out of the three that had lore, or was it two?
I wanna say all of them did, because the last
Well,
one,
this
like, the
we
current
didn't.
one, it came in the mid-season update. Or sorry, no, it
There was
didn't.
lore. No.
Sorry, no, it wasn't. It was the vinyls. Sorry, so yeah,
Yeah.
2.
So 2 seasons, right, right. It was 2
Yeah.
seasons that gave lore. So, 33% didn't have lore, so 66% lore. So this one's
But
gonna be 50%. But that's
what
a lot
what
of work still too.
yeah, yeah, but what if in between that, what if we're getting some kinda, like, other vinyl collectible or something like that, right?
That's
Because
possible.
don't forget, it's not just lore, it's also a collectible, right?
Yeah.
Um, so maybe it's gonna be, like, interchangeable? So, like, if we're not getting lore, we're getting new collectible? I don't know.
That'd
I'm just
be
speculating, right?
yeah, that's a
Um
speculation, obviously, but because we got it in a mid-season update this season, which was kinda cool,
mhm,
we because there was no expectation of it. It's just, "Hey, here's a mid-season update, and with it are some new vinyls." So,
mhm.
yeah, totally possible. It'd be kind of interesting if they did something like that again. And like they did with this one, it could be even an expansion of existing collectibles. Just here's some more of of a collectible already. So you never know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I really love the fact that, they've decided to go the 4 seasons with, level 50 or 50 level battle passes.
yeah,
'Cause, like, I'm pretty sure if you look at the data, from, like, the survey, it probably people were probably not too thrilled with, like, the 75 levels and the 130-day seasons, and like, you even look at it, like, the numbers on, let's say, Twitch, and I don't pay attention to, like, the live streaming platforms like Facebook and YouTube, but
right.
as the season goes along, like, there's less and less people streaming, the numbers, like, are on a downward trend the further along the season goes, and it's like, it's just a a lot, right?
Yep,
Like, you still have people who the hardcore that just grind it and they're done within, like, 3, 4 weeks. But the thing is, when you're making decisions on the length of like a season, like you basically or on anything, you almost need to like cut off like the top 5-10% and then the bottom 5-10%. And then you try to find the median out of that, right? And then that's kind of like your sweet spot. But I think
yeah,
like the level 50 is probably going to be better long term for the game because more people are going to be able to complete the battle pass. They might take like the full 3 months, and that's fine. But when people
yep,
are playing like 130 days and some of them may not even finish the battle pass, like to me that's kind of an issue. Because if the grind's too grindy, there people aren't going to play it. And I think that's part of the reason why we see some of the shelter changes that we have recently where it's not as much of the grind to upgrade your shelter, right?
true.
So I think kind of the reasoning behind it is tied in there. Um,
Right, yeah,
But yeah, I'm thrilled about it, 'cause, like, I'm still gonna be able to finish the battle pass, so, it'll just be a little easier and, uh, yeah, that's kinda my rant on it, I guess.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm one of those ones that gets it's always kind of a little tough for me because I don't necessarily play it as much as I could. So like this season here that we're finishing, I won't hit 75. I've hit 50. I'll be in the 50s. Maybe I'll get. I'll definitely get farther, but I
Mhm,
don't know if I'll get to 75. So so when they go back to 50, I think I'll still be able. I think I'll be able to get the 50. Because I'll push forward a little bit harder. But 75, even in seasons where they've extended to 75, where there's a little extra in those past years, I always had trouble getting to that 75, but I could generally get to the 50 even when the seasons were a little shorter. So, Hopefully,
Yeah,
I should be good too. But yeah,
I would not expect them to, like they haven't extended a season in ages type thing, and, like, even at that, I think they only did it twice. But,
yeah,
um, uh, I I'm kinda curious, and it was actually asked, I'm trying to pull it up on Twitter, but,
okay,
someone had asked about, seasonal challenges and how that's gonna work, right? Because we're going from 75 or not sorry, I was gonna say 75 levels, which has nothing to do with seasonal challenges,
no,
but
yeah, yeah.
130 days, um,
They
and then
try
we're
to
going
complete
down
50.
to 90,
Yes,
yes,
yeah.
and some of these, I'm not gonna lie, some of these were very, very hard, and it takes a long time. Like contact bomb kills, I need to get 20 of them. I'm at
Hmm.
18, and I get so many contact bomb kills after I die, and they don't count, right? You have to be living. So, anyways, so it's some of these challenges like super grindy. Um, but
Yep.
the answer was they're not currently planning on tweaking them, although new challenges will be added, but they will closely be watching and tweaking if needed. So,
Mm.
and that's actually TT who had
That's that.
posed the question on Twitter, and that's what the response was. So
Okay.
it sounds like there's going to be more challenges to the pool, but they're not currently going to tweak like the amount of challenges that you have to do to like get that complete the seasonal challenges. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, well, it's gonna be one of those things because in my 50, I'm in the 20s of how many I've completed,
yeah,
and it is very grindy because you get all these challenges that say get so many kills with a particular weapon, which isn't necessarily on its own hard, but when you have multiples of those, you're focusing on one weapon to get all the kills, and then you got to focus on the next weapon to get all the kills. When you
hmm
have like 5 6 weapons that are all like that, and it's like, oh, it's like yeah, it gets a bit much, right? Especially if depending if you're limited how many hours a week you
yeah,
can play, right?
yeah,
Then add
and
in consumable kills, like you said, contact bomb kills. Yeah.
yeah, like for me, I'm down to 5 challenges left, and I think
Wow.
are 3 of them are, like, weapon related. So I have, SWSH kills, I need 18
Hmm.
more. Like, I literally just started that one. But one of the other challenges that actually I have left is actually pistol kills. So there's overlap there.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
one's
I have the pistol kill one too.
yeah, so that's 25 kills. So there's going to be an overlap, and I think I already have, like, some Rafika kills, so it's like, uh once I'm done the SWSH challenge, I'll be done that one too. I still need to get berry kills and oh, actually no, I finished the Remy kill last night. So
That's what I'm
other than
working on
that,
now is Remy's. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, those are like kind of like the last 4 or 5 that I have left. But yeah, like I said, or like you said, there's for ones that are weapon specific, it's like you just have to like focus on that one thing. Some were easy, like the bugle one, like I was able
Yeah,
to
the
go
Vigor
through
one
that one
was
no front.
yeah.
SVU, boom. But like some of the other ones, like the berry, at one point I almost ran out of berries and I was just like, maybe I should start crafting them. And then I was like, oh wait, I have crates to open. So I opened some crates and it's like, okay, I'm good. And
Yeah,
then
same. I got 10 out of a crate that helped, but I need to do with berry ones as well. And I actually using the berries for a little bit when I was trying to get some of the berry ones because it um, overlapped with a daily berry or like a
SMG.
daily SMG one,
Yeah,
right? I actually found I like the berry. The berry is actually
yeah,
a really good SMG.
yeah. Best secondary weapon, I think, right now.
Yeah,
It's hard
yeah,
to argue.
very,
But
yeah, for sure.
yeah. Oh, and actually, sorry, the berry is the other one I have left, if I didn't say that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
okay.
yeah, you
Did
did
I?
because
Okay.
we were talking. You're talking about how you didn't have a lot of berries and you're opening
Yeah.
crates to get them.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, sorry. So, yeah,
yeah,
so that's one of my last 5 as well. So, I'm
yeah.
about, like, 22 out of 50 right now, I think.
Yeah. They did give a preview kind of what the seasons coming up were, and that's what I have up on the screen now. So just a little quick preview image showing a clock with 4 quadrants, like to represent the 4 seasons coming up. And it's you don't get a lot out of this, but you can kind of so it looks like the next season coming up. Um, almost like could be another Road Warrior style one because you got like a helmet with some spikes sticking out of it, so like punkish. But you got like a gas can and goggles. So that makes me think Road Warrior a little bit, or Mad Max theme, kind of like Junkers was. So maybe like another that type of season.
Mhm.
So I look forward to that because I really do like those kind of themes. Um, the next one, I'm not sure what to think of this one because you got like the policeman's helmet and a firefighter helmet on the ground. It might be a flare or it might be fire kind of off to the side of it. I was
Yeah,
gonna
like
say,
on a
well, it's like
road.
on a road, so it's hard to know because the was that season
3
3
with rivals, with
was the
police.
rivals was the
Yeah.
police and emergency services. So I don't know if it's hard to know. Is that like pointing at a theme or is that maybe pointing to the shelter upgrade that they were talking about? Remember, like that's replacing legacy seasons. We're going to talk about that more, but I'm just kind of curious if that has something to do with it, or if it does actually point to the theme. I want to say apocalypse, but the whole game's sort of an apocalypse kind of game because you're after the explosions. But I'm not sure. It's like a breakdown of essential services or something. I don't know. It's interesting.
But
Um,
oh, I'll let you finish. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, no problem. The next one I think looks like it's pointing to another military style theme. You got the black M16 ES16 rifle with a black gas mask, a few grenades that are also black. I don't know if that matter. Are the grenades always black? Maybe I don't know. And then what could be like a military looking kind of style backpack, and there's some more of that sort of um netty kind of material behind the backpack. What was that? Um, what's that called? Because they use that on the weapons, right? That kind of
Oh, like the scrim wrap or something like that.
scrim wrap. It
I
reminds me
forget
of the
what.
scrim.
Yeah, I don't remember the actual name, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was one of the wraps for like the M21. I think there was one,
yeah.
and
A lot of weapons got that wrap. It is a good
mhm,
wrap too.
yeah, one of my
Um,
favorites.
yeah, and so it makes me think of another military style theme. And then the
Mhm.
last one, which would be probably coinciding with around Halloween, looks to me like a kind of a horror theme. You got the one of the face masks, one of the hockey masks with some could be blood or just a red streak across it. Looks like a lot of blood on the ground, and then
Yeah,
a bloody
uh,
knife.
yeah.
So
I'm gonna say it's blood on the mask too, just because of all the blood everywhere.
most likely, it's you would it's most likely, but just you never know, right? So that is, to me seems like it might be like something around a horror theme, which would be kind of cool. I don't. It'd be because they've done that before, not a horror theme, but they've released horror because they sort of released like a Freddy outfit one Halloween. So each they tend to do some different kind of outfits that could fit in that genre.
Hmm.
But this could be kind of neat if it's a whole theme kind of wrapped around it.
Yep.
So just little
Um,
teasers, yeah.
so my understanding from like I think it was Zoro who had said it. It almost seems like these are hinted at factions within
Mm.
Vigor because so at one point, and I was trying to find it beforehand, but I don't remember if it was on a survey or something like that, but it was kind of teased that Vigor was maybe looking at factions. Um,
Oh. Well, then
so
that
some
could totally make sense. Yeah, you have a military
so
faction. Yeah.
yeah, so one kind of like faction like between players, and then like obviously like if you have different themes, then like you could have factions within there, and like I'm kind of wondering too, right? Because we've part of the past lore, we had the Arc faction or group, right? So maybe one of these groups ties in with that. Like maybe I don't know which one it would be. Like maybe
Yeah.
the one with the gas can or whatnot. I don't know. But it would be kind of like interesting if that all ties into like the past lore because ever since they've released the cassette tapes, they have not tied into the lore of the art group where like they even created a flame group info website, right? And then people had to investigate and try to get like, and that's how they introduced the map Kirsten, right?
Right,
So
right.
it'd be interesting. I'm assuming, like I said, this is how each faction is going to kind of get introduced is through the battle passes this season,
The
if that is the
seasons, yeah.
case. So,
Well, that'd be kind of cool. That's kind of neat. Yeah,
and
I would like to see that.
I'm also kind of wondering, like, what if they're not going to go in order, um, like of the clock? Because if you look at it, right, so top right you have it's almost like Anakin-ish, where it's like a winter theme. But then you bottom
Potentially.
left, you have like leaves that are fallen. So like you have autumn, the fall, right? And then I don't know which one would be like spring and summer, but it's like you have the other two, right? Where
Yeah.
um, I'm wondering if it might coincide that way, but uh,
Maybe. Hmm. Because it's going to be 3 months of theme, right? And it's
yeah,
starting in February,
yeah,
February, March, April, which for us in Canada, so winter. April's starting
yeah.
to warm up, but March and February and March, we'll still have quite a bit of snow on the ground. Um, but then yeah, it's hard to know if big. Then
It's
then the next one could be like summer, like the with the police helmet, and the other one could be like a summer kind of theme. But I don't
yeah.
know if there's one there that was specifically I would say is like a
Oh,
springtime theme.
yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know which one would be summer. The other thing too that I was thinking is,
Mm.
what if it has nothing to do with the seasons, and what if it actually has to do with where the factions reside? So it's like top right,
Mm.
Anakin, right? Bottom left, Sogrook, right? Bottom right with the police helmet and the fire helmet. Um, let's say Fisk, because I'm thinking it might be like the tunnel-ish type area. And then the other one, I almost want to say it's like Kirsten itself, just
Mm.
because of the dam. That would be my guess, but I'm not sure. But what do you think about that, Doc?
Yeah,
So
it's
it's like
possible.
where factions kind of reside.
Yeah. I You were thinking
It,
the top left would be Kirsten because I almost think the one with the police and the helmet could be Kirsten. Um, just because in Kirsten there's the areas where the road is destroyed and there's like a big crater in the road and the asphalt's all broken up.
but Grontheim has that too,
Uh,
and pretty much all the roads are like cracked and showing wear and tear from like
well,
all
sure,
the
sure,
years of apocalyptic
yeah, but I was just
digging
thinking
or whatever.
it's I think most devastated in Kirsten just because there's that one big crater that destroyed the road. Because like even in Grontheim, yeah, there's damage on the roads. Oh, actually in
Broadwind too.
Broadland has a little bit of damage in the road too. It has like a crater too. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's true. It could be either, but it's definitely not a winter one like that has any kind of damage. So yeah, hmm, yeah, it's hard to say.
Anyways, yeah, I thought it was kind of cool that they were talking about like uh it seemed like they were hinting at factions, and like I said, at one point, I don't know if it was in the survey or somewhere, but I kind of saw like a hint of like factions being introduced type thing.
Right.
So,
Well,
anyways,
that's kind of cool. So yeah, I'd really like to see where they go with factions. Like
mhm,
how much is it actually going to play into the game? So
yeah,
yeah, okay. But yeah, so that's some of the stuff they talked about with the new the seasons coming out and the battle passes.
yeah.
So what's next? What do you
So
want to talk about next?
next, Zora kind of mentioned working on uh, the veteran player experience because, as everyone knows, 2022 they did a ton of work on the new player experience, the onboarding experience.
Yeah,
Like we've talked about it so much in the last year on the podcast and the dev streams and everywhere. Which honestly, it was much needed. The learning curve on Vigor is pretty steep. So for someone new coming in, I'm sure it's very helpful. Veterans, maybe not so much, but now
Yep.
they're turning their eye towards veteran players. And the first thing that Zora kind of mentioned was a leaderboard rework. So they didn't have a specific timeline in mind for this, but they do want to get it done for this year. They did mention it is like a full rework,
Yeah.
and
It's a lot
it's
of
kind of,
work, they said.
yeah, it's kind of been known that it was going to be a lot of work because so the old system that they used was actually like a custom system tracking system, and apparently they were only able to save X amount of stats. So that's part of the reason why the leaderboards kind of like track what there is now, and even probably the challenges. That's probably one of the reasons why some of the challenges work the way they do. So now they're going to be reworking the leaderboards, which is much needed and has been talked about for years. Like I remember, like 2 years ago, I don't know, it's been a while. Like I said, how about seasonal challenges with like titles for like the top 1, 5, and 10 people type thing, or for each category, or there's just something to like say, hey, this season I finished in this place of this category type thing. So very exciting. I know a lot of people would love to see that, and probably who knows, maybe they're going to actually introduce a minimum amount of player games played to actually qualify, because we all know that like some people they literally create like Smurf accounts and then they try to get on the leaderboards for like the averages and whatnot,
Yeah, like having a
which is kind
huge
of
average loot, which is impossible to get if you've played more than like 2 games.
any, yeah. Well, it's minimum 10 games to get on the leaderboard, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
um, but anyways, so yeah,
yeah.
it's nice to see that the leaderboards are actually going to get reworked. Because again, leaderboards, uh, veteran players would love to see that. Because some people like myself, I haven't played since I've been playing since season 3. There's no way I'm catching up to anyone who's played since the start of the
Yeah.
leaderboards, which started sometime in season 1, because they weren't right off the bat at season 1. It started off at like 1.1 or 1.2. I forgot what it is there, but someone had mentioned it. So it's nice if you have seasonal leaderboards, and then it's like a carrot on the stick for everyone who is like interested in chasing like a certain category. So um, yeah, very very nice change.
Yeah.
Next, they talked about shelter improvement. Now, this one I was a little curious because they kind of teased that it was just going to be a single improvement for like replacing legacy seasons, and not as if there's going to be multiple coming all at once. So in a way, if it's a little disappointing, but maybe it could be a thing where it's like English is not their first language, so maybe it's a little thing like that.
Yeah.
But there is more coming, so it just might not be all at once.
And I
So
wouldn't expect multiple at once unless they're doing a really major overhaul of the shelter. Yeah, but I could see like bringing in one and then maybe being able to bring out another later kind of thing.
see, I kind of figured there'd be like 2 or 3, because you'd probably want to like you lay the foundation and then you throw in a couple at once
Right.
instead of doing. So I don't know. Like we don't know how it's implemented in the back end and whatnot, and how much work is actually required. So maybe it was just it's a lot of work to just get the one done. So uh, you know, bang out that one shelter improvement to replace legacy seasons, and then boom, we're gonna get other ones. But who knows?
Right.
Like we weren't expecting the vinyls on the last mid-season update, um, and there we go. We got new. Oh, actually, we didn't even talk about that. So for the 4 seasons, they're actually scrapping the mid-season updates, and everything is going to be hot
Oh.
fixes. It
Oh,
was
I
it was
don't
mentioned
don't even
in the video.
recall.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was in the
was it? I
video.
must have missed that part. Okay.
It was in the video and on the blog post, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there's still going to be all the content updates, and the events like Boost Your Apocalypse and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure the legwork for all that was done with the automation that they implemented and we recently saw. So, again, just to recap, the old system, they had to manually start each event, like the Booster Apocalypse and the double XP weekends. Now it's like they literally just schedule it and it goes live when it's scheduled. And even for the Christmas update, they didn't even have to push an update. They literally just flipped a switch and then boom, we got the content. So I suspect that that's how, well, they basically said it, is that's how the content is going to be coming. So, but from now, we're going to get the major season fixes, and then we're going to get like basically just hot fixes, because the issue was the mid-season updates pretty much ended up being almost like a new season update type thing. So they're just massive, according
Yeah.
to Period. So that's why they decided to go that route. So yeah, totally forgot that.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, and I didn't even I totally glossed over that, so I didn't realize.
so
So that's interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we're expecting a shelter improvement to replace legacy seasons. You're going to be able to get your weapon plans, your consumable plans that route. They mentioned other things, but what else could there be? The skins, right? The cosmetics. Um, Another thing they did mention, they were kind of looking at other communities' suggestions. Right, the communities always post suggestions through the dev streams, Twitter, Reddit, like Discord.
This
They
podcast.
mentioned this podcast. Yeah, we've done like suggestions for sure. Maybe they've listened to some of them.
You
Uh,
hope.
I hope so. Yeah, so they talked about like multiple loadouts that they're looking at, which is fantastic. But I was thinking about that. Why not make that a shelter improvement? So the higher your level is in that shelter improvement, the more loadouts you could have. So you have
Sure.
your basic, shelter, boom, one loadout. You get it up to level 2, hey, you get a second custom loadout if you want, and just keep going. Go up to like 12 loadouts. Why not? Boom, there
Right.
you go.
Well,
Another
it
idea.
could be like, you know how right now you have the loadout table?
Yeah,
So it could just be each upgrade is, or when you get to a certain level, you get another loadout table, or the table changes so that can hold multiple loadouts. It just reordered somehow. So it could be something like that. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so
Something to
as you
do in your
level
little
up,
weapons area.
yeah, so all every time you upgrade that thing, boom, you get another custom loadout. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, And then they talked again more about end game content and adding more shelter improvements. That's why I was like, uh, I was under the impression, like I said, we might get a couple. We kind of figured in June, right, in that episode where we were talking about when they mentioned or teased it. Uh,
Yep.
but uh, I'm okay with it as long as it is coming, because we all want. Because to me, end game content is finish your shelter, right? So it's like I'm done. It's like now I'm just
Yeah.
doing to like go up the leaderboards, and with the rework, it's like boom. It's like this veteran is going to be happy. So
Yep. Yep. For sure.
um,
Yeah. I finished my shelter too. So yeah, if anything that they could do to improve, make that relevant again would be
mhm.
great for sure.
um, and then I think that's kind of
They
it for the veteran players thing.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Um, they mentioned some encounter love, like making
Yep.
what was that? I'm trying to
Clearly,
remember.
no, they just literally all they said they wanted to show some love to
Just
the encounters, and
yeah,
basically because everyone's grinding like eliminations, right? Because for all the crates, and like
that's true.
people don't fight for the crate, and I like it's been suggested time and time again that the crate at the end of an encounter isn't much worth it right now because it's for most of the time it's a common and
Yeah, if they
uh,
don't upgrade it or boost it, it's yeah, just a common.
is
Yeah,
not worth it, right? So I think it's going to have to do with that, and then um, who knows? We might see some either loot redistribution again, or maybe uh, other changes to it, like maybe the loot events are tweaked again, or I don't know. I'm kind of interested because that's another topic that they didn't say, they
Yeah.
couldn't speak too much about right now. So,
And that's one thing I'd like to see too is, we mentioned the crate, only being, it's not really worth if it's a common, but also it'd be kind of cool if they reworked maybe the comm stations a little bit. Um, changed up the what the different bonuses and negatives you can do, because it's right now it's like half the time or more than half the time you go to pick up the crate, it's irradiated. It's always
oh,
radiated or
really?
it's heavy. Oh, I
Yeah.
man, so many times I pick it up, it's like, oh hey, I found the red crate, maybe I'll grab it, it's like radiated. I gotta leave. And it's like it's so stupid.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if they change that up somehow. I don't know how, that, yeah, like what they could do, because we
Yeah.
already have booby trap, radiation, heavy, and what's the
Decoy
last? Decoy, yeah,
as the debuffs or the nerfs.
yeah, and the decoy, it's barely worth it. It's like, oh, it's like, I don't know.
No, no, I actually like the decoy.
Do you? Do you
Decoy
find it
is
actually helps?
Yeah, decoy. So typically, what I do is my number one priority is moving it,
Yeah.
and then I'll fortify it, right, where you get
Mhm.
like the extra like heals and bullets and whatnot. And then what's the other one? Quick release. I don't care for, and stealth. Unless I know where the red crate is, I don't want it
Yeah.
either. So
Yeah.
basically, decoy is my third option, because I don't like making it overweight. I don't
Yeah, or
want to radiate it,
radiating it. Yeah.
and I don't want to booby trap it, right? I don't want to shoot myself in the foot. So
No,
that's
yeah.
why I'll use decoy as my number 3 option. If those are the ones are taken. So, and honestly, it's at that point, it's like, yeah, it doesn't affect me because I know on the map exactly which one it is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, unless you're hard pressed for like one single nail, you could go and loot the other one. But
Yeah.
it's like that's why decoy is my third favorite. Really.
Yeah, no, that kind of makes sense. If you want to pull something and just throw a decoy out there, it's not too bad. Maybe if they tweaked each one and make decoy so that it was two decoys, so you have three out there.
Oh
Something
yeah,
stupid. Or and change up the reinforce it so that it's not, maybe it's instead of some consumables, it's a weapon, or
yeah.
even like a, what's that called? Where you drop the bombs. Why can't I think of
Murder
what it's
strike.
called? Yeah, make it like a mortar strike. You get a mortar strike out of there, and
Yeah,
so you could like
change.
maybe target
Yeah,
someone right away if you needed to.
like
I don't
change
know.
up.
I'm just,
Yeah, change up whatever the fortify is, where it's like you could get different actual like items. Like,
yeah, and
yeah,
I think we
I kind of
mentioned this
like that idea.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on our
I think
wish
we
list
mentioned this
episode.
before. Yeah, making the fortification um go up or get better with the boosts of the crate too. So
Yeah,
that's another option.
yeah,
But yeah, change it up. Change so it's not always exactly
yeah.
the same. But yeah,
Actually, for the decoy, I would love to if they actually like move them like further apart.
yeah.
'Cause it's like,
Um,
what if they're opposite end of the maps, and it's like the only way that someone would know that one's obviously the fake is whoever made the decoy, and then if you were the one that actually moved it too. So it's like, let's say, Doc, you were first to hit the comm station, you say, "I wanna move it here." Okay? And then I go and I hit decoy, and obviously, it's gonna land where you moved it to, but then it's gonna put a decoy like halfway at the other end of the map. You know that it is going to be at the right location. So technically, there's only two people, me and you, at this point, that would know where it is.
or like it's sort of similar, because right now you move the location, yeah, you see exactly where it's going to drop, but everyone else still sees a green circle where it's going to drop,
Yeah,
right? Currently, and then so when you do decoy, um, right now it's like uh, it has to be in that green circle, otherwise the
yeah.
decoy's the other one. So if they
But
had it
that's
so
why it
that,
would, yeah, it would have a second green circle on the map.
well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was coming up with. Is, yeah, it'd have to have a second green circle.
Mhm.
So you definitely want to hit decoy. Oh, I don't know, because because if you moved it, people would see where the green circle is for where you moved it. If you're and then if you do a decoy, well, people still see where the first green circle was, and you added a second green circle. They're still going to know, okay, that second green circle that showed up if they've been paying attention. If you're not paying attention, then it could be either. But if you're paying attention, you know that second green circle is going to be the decoy.
Mhm,
Um, so it'd be kind of interesting is if they had like a combo move and decoy so that you could choose two spots out of the four, and that's one's going to be the real, one's going to be the decoy, and it happens at the same time and not two separate things that you have to do. That might make it a bit more worthwhile. Yeah. And but it also make you take longer at the comm station, which is also more detrimental to you because
yep,
someone could be like sneaking up and going to shoot you while you're there, right?
mhm,
Hmm. Okay. Thoughts. Anyways.
yep. So, yeah, I think that's what the encounter love is.
Yeah.
There's been so much, like, focus on, like, shootout and eliminations, that really encounters haven't changed a ton since
No.
I wanna say, like, since the loot events,
Other
since they
than
introduced, like,
redistributing
time
groups like loots,
yeah,
that's all
like,
that's really
sin
changed.
well, like, aside from adding, like, time vault and lock container,
Mm.
like, when was the last time something actually really changed map-wise on an encounter?
No,
Like,
nothing's
nothing.
changed.
Like, aside from, like,
Well,
loot
mhm,
redistribution, like, really, like,
yeah.
the map's been the same, right? So,
Yeah, I think there was that
no
one time when Fisk was offline for quite a while. And that was before the new loot events. They took Fisk offline and they had to reduce some of the buildings and change things around because they were having a lot of problems with the map as it was. And
yeah,
so they rejiggered it a bit and then brought it out again. A little different from how it was, not hugely different, but
yeah.
there was less
But that's
objects, that kind of thing.
yeah, that's just one map, right? And
That was
that's
just one map. No, yeah, totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't really have to do with the game mode itself, so,
No, no, no.
but yeah,
Yeah.
um,
But yeah, so that was Encounter Love, and then we already talked about major releases with hot
oh,
fixes,
yeah,
still having and sort of centering around those special events as well.
mhm,
Um, they mentioned eliminations and working on the AFK people that have been a bit of a consternation with a lot of players who like to play a lot of eliminations.
yeah, and that one was kinda curious because so on the video, they didn't have a time frame, but then if you look at the blog post, it almost sounds like it's coming with this coming season. So
Mm,
I'm kind of curious as to what the solution was. I know like there was a post on Reddit recently that I was kind of looking for ideas type thing, and it like eliminations is a team-based game, so there's no point in awarding like individual crates, in my opinion, and especially like, if you're a newer player and you're trying to learn stuff,
yeah,
it's kinda, like, really pointless because you have a veteran player, they're just gonna, like, steamroll and just, like, take all the points, and you're gonna get stuck with, like, 50 points and no reward, and it's like, "Why are you spending your time here?"
right.
Like, for me, the solution, would be, like, 1, they have to move, like, X amount of meters, like even it's like you can't even be like 2 meters, or even just emoting because like I've seen like AFK people literally just stand still and emote to try to like be oh I'm active right
Yeah,
but
yeah. You gotta
like
leave the well,
yeah
saying that you have to leave the starting ground is one thing, but
yes because
you need more than that, but yeah.
it's like let's say you have like a spawn radius and you have to leave that or like what if the distance traveled that you need is like kind of prorated or based on like the map, right? Because you
Mm,
have some maps that are Anakin based that
yeah,
you are running like far, right? Like, so it's like that one is like, hey, you're going to have to run a bit more than the other one to be considered not AFK.
yeah,
So what if it's a combination of that? And the thing is, like, yeah, you could have say something where it's like you need to actually do some damage to be considered not AFK, but it's like a lot of new players, again, they're gonna struggle with the gunplay. They may not get, like, a ton of damage, like, so I'm kind of on the fence as to if that should be a criteria, if that was part of the solution. Um, so I don't know. What do you think, Doc?
That's a tough one because if you just make it based on how far they move, then there's nothing stopping them from running around in circles. But if you make it that to get out of a certain area, again, they could figure out, well, if I go over here, I'm not considered
Yeah,
AFK, so then I'll move over here and just sit here for the rest of the game,
yeah.
and not do anything. So yeah, I
It's
guess
like
how many bullets they use, but then someone could just fire in the air. So it's
yeah.
like,
I was gonna say like they could just shoot the ground, right? And then it's like
yeah,
they're almost like alerting the other teams, like, "Hey, I'm over here. Come kill me and get this over with," right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like, it's the pros and cons of like having damage done, right? And then it's like, what happens if like a player is AFK for like 1 round? Like obviously, I would say,
And
okay, well that's 1 round. Like maybe they went for a
yeah,
coffee or something like that, and like the round was over before they got back.
or
Um,
or you've had it like and I don't know. I haven't played eliminations this season, but I've had it in the past where you go in and my first round was I couldn't see a thing. I could sort of hear what was going
yeah,
on.
I don't think that's an issue now. I've no,
Yeah, maybe it's not an issue, but doesn't mean there aren't because
yeah,
there's still sometimes issues,
mhm,
right? So say it's not as big an issue, but maybe there's still a percentage chance that that could happen. You get, and then the next round I'm fine. So is it going to be based on an average of all the rounds, or you have one round where, yeah, like you said, you went for coffee, or whatever reason, maybe there's a technical
yeah.
glitch and you miss a round because of it.
Your son wakes up and you have to run up to give him a bottle of milk or something, and I
Or you
don't
get a kitty who comes around and tries to bug you while you're in the middle of a
yeah, there
game,
you
and
go.
it's like, "No kitty, bad
Yeah,
kitty."
yep. Uh, yeah, no, there yeah, I don't think it's an easy feat, uh,
Yeah.
as to what to use, but,
They're gonna have to just
I'm
choose
looking forward to it.
something and see
Yeah,
how it goes. Like, the
yeah,
the very minimum, they gotta make it so that they don't just stand in one spot, like, so,
yeah,
yeah, the very minimum, they move to a certain amount, and then and go with that, and then people will say, "Well, it's not enough because now they're just doing that." Well, then they'll have to look at it again. But I don't know if
yeah.
there's gonna be one perfect solution
No,
because
that's the thing too, is, like, I'm sure they're not going to, like, just sit there and say, "This is it." Like, they're
Mhm,
always gonna reevaluate and see if they need to tweak it one way or another.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
and yeah, and and then if you look at, oh, well, maybe they penalize the worst player, but then that doesn't help either because what if everyone's trying and then the last person, whoever has the worst score on the team, gets nothing? Then that's not fair either, really, because
yeah,
just because he was trying, but he came in last. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't like it. It's tough.
yeah.
But then yeah, but this next thing was kind of cool. They were what they announced.
Yep. So next thing they announced was they are working. One of the major things they're working on is a new map. So
Yeah,
we're so Kirsten was released November 2021 as a shootout map,
as a shootout
uh,
map. Yep.
and it was released as a full encounter map February 1st of last year. So
Yep.
it's basically been a full year that we've had a new map. So the community is always asking for new maps, so it's exciting that we're actually getting a new one. Um, I'm honestly kind of curious if they're going to go the same route as they did with Kirsten, where it's the map is introduced as maybe just a shootout map or maybe an elimination map, and then brought in as a encounter map, like kind of ease it in.
Yep.
Because part of the reason why Kirsten came out solely as a shootout map, um, it wasn't ready, for an encounter map. So
Yeah.
originally, I remember this was like a while ago, obviously, but the dev stream, Johanny had mentioned that the map itself wasn't quite ready because of where the points of interest were located, like signals, comp station, and all that. They still weren't all sorted out. There were some bugs, so it wasn't ready to be out. To play. So the compromise was to make it into a shootout map, and honestly, I kind of like it. The spawn rates are still kind of like sometimes on Kirsten, but honestly, like I love it for the close quarter combat. Um,
When you're in the
it is a
dam
lot of
kind of
fun.
area, or
No, above
oh,
on
you
the
meant
street
for
level.
shootout?
Yeah,
You
for
meant for
shootout.
shootout?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, no.
Yeah,
Encounter, it's like I'm barely in the dam. I'm like I'll occasionally go, but
yeah.
uh yes.
Yeah, I don't mind the dam, but as far as shootout goes, I do really like the dam for shootout for sure. And I guess it all depends with this, whatever the new map is, if it has an area that's conducive to being a shootout kind of area. That's because
Mhm.
that's a nice thing about the dam. The top level of dam worked really well as a shootout. The long, narrow, but there's a lot of areas you can go and you
Yep.
know and try to get
Tunnels and
different angles into tunnels and
yep.
little scaffolding you can run across.
Mhm.
Then you got like when Sagbrook was just a elimination, it was sort of a
Shootout.
self-contained what?
Yeah, you said elimination.
Oh,
The shootout.
yeah, I meant shootout. Yeah. It was like a big self-contained area that had fencing all around it, and it was easy to make it into one kind of big
Yep.
shootout. So this new map, it all depends what kind of map it is. It'd be really interesting to
Mhm.
see if there's anything that's conducive to being that kind of thing. Because as we saw, they could take something like Fisk and turn it into an eliminations, by sectioning
Mhm.
off different areas. So they could potentially do that with pretty much any map, I guess. But
Yep.
yeah, so
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because I know like I've seen ideas for like a lot of people are asking for like city maps or like broken down city maps type thing, uh,
yeah,
and like I'm kind of curious, but the issue becomes like memory and like how intensive a map is, right?
yeah.
Because the more assets, the more intensive it is, and it may be laggy or whatnot. So I'm kind of curious what it's going to be. I'm excited. Who doesn't love a new map, right?
Yep.
And it's like it's been like I said, February 1st of last year. So we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of Kirsten being an encounter map. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and one thing like it'd be like yeah, a city map, a fully city map would be kind of cool. But also, I think it's been mentioned, we've mentioned before too. It'd be interesting also to have like a fully indoor map if there's like any kind of way to
Mm,
doing something like that.
yep.
Um, that'd be hard, but it'd be kind of neat, you know.
Mhm. Third person
Um,
peek would be so good on that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And then last, they mentioned that they're still working on the weapon overhaul, and they hope to have that out this year. They didn't give any specifics of when. It's
Well,
because they're reworking all the weapons that are left. So
yeah, I almost want to say though that it's not just the rework that they're talking about. I like the way that Period kind of mentioned it. It almost sounded as if they they're actually going to be adjusting weapons where like they might actually be touching classifications. That's the way I interpreted it because
hmm.
she actually said that some weapons are really good and some aren't, type thing, and that leads me to think that maybe like yeah they're going to work on like reworking all of the weapons to the new shooting engine, but it what if they're actually going to like reclassify weapons, um, and whatnot, or
Yeah,
actually
they've done it before,
make
so it's possible.
yeah, or actually make them like the way like a military grade weapon is actually like one of the better ones, but not the best, right?
Right.
So what if they're actually going to tweak all those military grade ones to be like really good? Uh, I don't know. I'm kind of curious, but yeah, that's the way I kind of interpreted that. Um,
Hmm.
so
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Like actually reclassifying weapons.
yeah, like maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but uh, just something I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it also worries me a little bit too because sometimes there's you still want to have decent guns in the different categories because right now in common, um, there are some really popular commons still, like the ES16 and the AKM are still a couple of the most popular commons out there.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just trying to think. Well, you see a lot of Visa 58 still, and that's also quite common, especially with the newer players, because that's one of the early guns that they can build, right?
Yeah,
Um, it's like one of the first assault rifles that they can get in abundance. Uh, but yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. So the way they worded it too on the blog post, because like the blog post is a little like there's like subtle little differences, but again, it could be because maybe English is not their primary language. Um, but the way it says is we'll be looking into a weapons overhaul just to balance all weapon categories and make the gunplay more enjoyable. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, I'm just wondering if that's part of it. So, and honestly, if they're going to be making changes to the weapons where it's like is going to require more skill to get kills and not just like a spray and pray type thing. It doesn't matter which type of weapon you have. Hey,
yeah,
I'm all for it. I would love to see that.
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of like people would too. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, so we're actually going to put in a link to on the description of the video for the blog post and the video. So check it out. Let us know what you guys thought of the 2023 roadmap because I'm very excited for this
Yeah,
coming year and um, what Vigor holds for us.
yeah. It's very exciting, and we're getting real close. So only a few weeks left, or a couple weeks left. I can't remember
Uh,
how many days were left when I last
y-
checked.
we're in the 20s, I believe.
Yeah, so just a few weeks. So looking forward to it.
Uh, I'm going to predict that there's going to be a double XP weekend too before the end of the season is so
Yeah, we had
hopefully
one just before Christmas, so it would be nice to have one near the end of the season, just
we
for
actually
those
had
of
two.
us who did we have two? Well, they had some
Yeah,
booster apocalypses.
we
Oh,
had
that's right. They
one.
had one at the beginning of a week, just after
Yeah,
Christmas. Where was
for the
when
New
was it?
Year's to
New
kick
Year's.
off the new year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And one other thing to chat. Uh, if you are on Xbox and you have
Chat.
Xbox, what?
He said,
I gotta
well, I
talk.
think to chat.
What am I supposed to say? Listeners, people.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Viewers,
Outlanders.
listeners.
Okay, Outlanders. If you are on Xbox and you have the uh, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, Vigor has a uh, Game Pass perk pack out there for us. Just got released this week. You have until the beginning of March to claim it. It's called the Norwegian Woodchuck pack. It
Yeah.
looks like it comes with some weapons and nice little skin. So,
Yeah, it doesn't look no, it looks good. It has the vest the vest with jeans and a sweater kind of look, and it's like a yellow sweater, and
yeah,
yeah, no, it looks good. I actually like it.
yeah. I totally forgot to grab a picture for the thing, and I
I
just like
should,
remembered because
yeah, I should.
I looked at my phone and I was just like, no, I forgot. So, my
You know, I
bad.
can probably grab it right now. Give us one moment, guys, as you
Oh,
as you're
I
watching this video.
I was gonna say don't worry about it. And like we'll just link to it or something. Um, but yeah, so that's exciting because there's been what 3 in the last 2.5 years, I believe. So it's not very often that we do get these, and they're kind of exclusive to Xbox. Uh, PlayStation gets their own, and I think PlayStation gets one every like 6 months or something like that. Um, and I'm wondering if it's part of the Sony agreement. But uh, this is something that is ours, Xbox people.
Yeah, and it's always nice when you get like a little bit of a
Yeah.
bonus. So yeah, it's appreciated. Um, and I'm looking forward to it. Here, I'm going to show it right now. We'll see how it looks quickly.
And it's
And
funny
there it
because
is. Yeah.
oh, okay, go ahead.
So you can't see it, but they can.
Well, I'm
It's the
looking at it
claim.
on my
It's
phone.
yeah, you got it on your phone. Yeah, it's just the claim now picture that they put up, but it shows the various guns, and it looks like I see some is that
I see
M2
some
carbines in
carbines.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, saying carbines. Maybe right behind the Outlander is
I think there's some
the berry.
Thompsons.
I was thinking maybe
Yeah,
the berries there.
yeah.
A74 KSUs are there. So yeah, that's a pretty good selection of weapons. And
Yep.
then, a decent skin.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
not
and
bad.
just to coincide too, I have like 4 days left on my Game Pass Ultimate
Mm.
subscription, but I've already claimed it. I'm still gonna like extend my subscription. It's just my
Yeah.
birthday is like in a week actually, so I'm like, I know someone's gonna buy it for me, so that's why I haven't done it myself. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, mine was coming up as well because I had the 2-year that came with my Series X. Um,
oh, that's right.
yeah, and then when I got my laptop, my new gaming laptop also came
Oh,
with
with the
like a
PC version, yeah.
yeah, a trial version of the Game Pass Ultimate, which affected everything. But that added I think a month or something like that to it, and then I've also extended it by another year. So yeah, I'm going to continue with it because it's a good value. Yeah, all the new games you can try, so it's definitely worth it. All right, but that is it. That is the roadmap. So very exciting. Um, some good info that came with it. It's an 8-minute video and a blog post, but a lot of good news out of it. So
And we
looking
still
forward
made
to
an
it.
hour episode out of it. High
That's
five.
right. Woohoo!
Who said
Yeah.
we can't talk?
That's right. We can stretch it out. Yeah. But as usual, thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave comments. And until next time, stay safe in the Outlands. Have a great night.
Bye.
I've heard you say you lost your way again. You don't see your end. you.